Have you ever woken up in the morning with a bloated stomach, even though you had a light dinner? It feels like your jeans are getting tighter, like your body is holding on to something that doesn't belong there, and you wonder, what am I doing wrong? I ate healthy. I remember it so clearly. That year, I had just turned 52. I didn't eat much, didn't drink soda, and tried to walk every day. But my stomach was getting more and more full, uncomfortable, like a cloud was clinging to me. And worse, that heavy feeling followed me all day long. It affected not only the way I dressed, but also the way I looked in the mirror. Until one morning, while I was making ginger tea, my mother, now 80 years old, smiled and said something I'll never forget. "Your body doesn't need much more, just listen to it a little every morning." And it turns out, she was right. With just 5 simple ingredients that almost everyone has in their kitchen, I created a magical morning routine, one that helped me reduce bloating, feel lighter, and especially feel a few years younger after just 10 days. In today's video, I will share exactly what is that drink, how to combine it correctly, why does it work especially well after the age of 50, and the small mistakes that make many people drink it without seeing any effects. If you are middle-aged and feel like your stomach is no longer listening like before, don't take your eyes off this video, because sometimes what you are looking for to change your health is not in an expensive pill, but starting with a glass of warm water on a normal morning. So what really happens inside your body when you drink a glass of warm water every morning? Let's start at the beginning, where all the myths about waistlines after 50 begin. Here's something that few people tell you about your 50s and beyond. What you eat is less important than how your body processes it. I realized this after a small party for a close friend's birthday. We ate very moderately, a little salad, a few pieces of cheese, nothing too much. But the next morning, I woke up with a stomach as round as a balloon. It felt heavy, full, and uncomfortable. At the time, I thought it was the salt, or eating late. But when this happened more and more often, even when I ate extremely healthy, I knew I had to dig deeper. And then I discovered something interesting. As we age, our bodies no longer produce as many digestive enzymes as they did in our 30s. Bowel movements slow down, abdominal muscles weaken, hormones, especially estrogen, which helps maintain fluid balance and prevent bloating, start to decline significantly after menopause. In other words, it's not all about the food. It's about how your body digests life over the years. If you've ever found yourself eating the same meal as a younger person in your family, but only you feel bloated, you're not imagining it. Your body is actually changing the way it processes food, fiber, and even water. And here's a little lesson I learned from my trusted nutritionist. Your belly doesn't need a strict diet. It needs to be loved again in a new, age-appropriate way. Since I understood this, I've stopped blaming myself for eating wrong. Instead, I started paying attention to how I support my digestive system, from drinking water, chewing slowly, to choosing ingredients that help the digestive system gently reboot. And that's why I want to start with the first ingredient in the morning recipe I'm about to share with you. It's not an expensive pill, nor is it a complicated detox juice. It's simply warm water. Sounds too ordinary, right? But don't underestimate the power of something so simple. I remember a few years ago, when I started a new habit that I believed was good for my health. Every morning, I poured a glass of very cold filtered water, added a few ice cubes, and drank it right after waking up. That cool feeling instantly woke me up, like I was reactivated after a long sleep. But after just 20 minutes, my stomach started to contract, growl, and feel tight, and I found myself wanting to lie down again instead of starting the day. I didn't know why at the time. I thought it might be because of dinner the night before, until I shared this with a friend who is a geriatric nurse. She just smiled and said, "Humans are not refrigerators, and the digestive system doesn't like being woken up with ice-cold water. Physiologically, this is what happens when you drink cold water right after waking up. The blood vessels in the stomach contract, gives blood flow decreases. Digestion slows down, gives food passes through the intestines unevenly. The intestinal muscles also jump, causing bloating, flatulence. And if you are in your 50s plus, when your metabolism is already slow, freezing your digestive system every morning is like driving with the handbrake on. A simple example. Imagine putting your hand in ice water for 5 minutes. Does it feel soft and flexible? or stiff and sluggish? Your gut and stomach are the same. So which is better? Warm water. It's that simple. No need for complicated herbal teas. No need for lemon and honey water before sunrise. Just 1 to 2 cups of warm water, enough to feel good, relaxing, like you're embracing your body from the inside when you drink it. I learned something important from this experience. Your body doesn't need a shock every morning, it needs a gentle pampering to start the day. When I replaced my morning glass of ice water with warm water, I started to feel the difference within the first week. A lighter stomach, more regular bowel movements, and strangely enough, a better mood. And that's just the first step. Once the warm water has gently awakened the digestive system, it's time to introduce the next ingredient, an ingredient that the ancients called nature's fermented elixir. If you've ever visited an elderly family in Asia, you might have come across this image. A small old lady, shaking her hand holding a glass of warm water, sitting and sipping small sips before starting a new day. No tea, no coffee, just warm water. I used to think it was just a traditional habit until I started to dig deeper. And then I realized what the previous generations did was not because of lack of choice, but because they truly understood what their bodies needed. In traditional Indian medicine Ayurveda, warm water is considered digestive fire, helping to awaken the internal organs after a long sleep. In traditional Chinese medicine, it is believed that cold water puts out the fire inside, while warm water keeps the blood flowing and the stomach light. Today, modern science is gradually confirming this. Warm water relaxes the smooth muscles of the intestines, helping to reduce spasms and improve bowel movements. Activates digestive enzymes earlier in the day, aiding digestion throughout the day. Increases blood circulation, especially in the abdomen and liver. Helps detoxify in the morning without expensive green juices. I once had a friend who was a corporate executive, always busy and didn't believe in old stuff. But after she suffered from chronic indigestion, her doctor suggested just one change. Drink warm water in the morning, before coffee. After just a week, she called me, smiling and saying, "I think I just discovered the biggest secret my grandmother knew decades ago." The lesson I learned was, sometimes, the simplest things are the things we need the most. Not because they're new, but because they've been forgotten for so long. And when you start your day with a glass of warm water, you're not only soothing your stomach, you're sending your body a little message. I hear you. I'm going to start this day slowly, gently, and with care. So how can you boost your digestion, burn fat, and reduce your cravings by adding just one little thing to that glass of warm water? The answer is apple cider vinegar. I still remember the first time I heard about apple cider vinegar as a natural remedy from my local mailman. He was in his 60s, but he walked briskly, his back was straight, and his complexion was surprisingly rosy. When I complimented him one day on his health, he just smiled and said, "I have only one secret, 1 spoonful of apple cider vinegar in warm water every morning. That's enough." At first, I was skeptical. Apple cider vinegar. What's so special about that sour stuff? But then I did some research, and the truth surprised me. So what does apple cider vinegar actually do for your body? Apple cider vinegar, especially the raw, unfiltered variety, with mother, contains a compound called acetic acid. This silent hero helps stabilize blood sugar, slows down the absorption of glucose after meals, increase insulin sensitivity, helps the body process carbohydrates better, especially important after age 50, helps burn fat by activating enzymes involved in metabolism, reduces cravings, makes you feel fuller for longer, supports digestion, especially if you have low stomach acid, which is very common in postmenopausal women. Real life example. A friend of mine, Laura, 56, always had problems with unexplained hunger pangs in the middle of the morning. She tried eating a high-protein breakfast, drinking lots of water. But after only 1 to 2 hours, she was hungry again. When she started adding 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar mixed in warm water in the morning, she said something that I will never forget. "I no longer fight cravings. I feel my body calm again." But also note, apple cider vinegar is very strong, and using it incorrectly can be harmful. Do not drink it pure. Always dilute it with warm water. Do not drink it on an empty stomach if you have ulcers. Use a straw or rinse your mouth afterwards to avoid damaging your tooth enamel. Just 1 teaspoon, up to 1 tablespoon per day, is enough to see results without overloading your stomach. Sometimes the thing that can help you change your health is not in an expensive medicine bottle, it's right in your kitchen, where you rarely notice it. When you combine warm water by gently tossing in naturally fermented apple cider vinegar, you're waking up your metabolism, not by forcing it, but by working in harmony with your body's rhythms. And to help things get more rounded, aiding digestion, fighting inflammation, and cleansing from the inside, we need a sour, refreshing, and sun-powered companion. That's fresh lemon. A few years ago, I started my morning routine with a strong cup of black coffee. It woke me up, but then what? A bloated stomach, reflux, and a dull ache that lingered throughout the morning. That is until I spoke to a yoga instructor friend who is in her 60s, but still as light and fresh as a 40-year-old. She said, before you stimulate your body with coffee, wake it up with sunlight from a lemon. And she was right. Since I added fresh lemon to my morning glass of warm water, I've started to notice a real difference. My stomach feels lighter, the bloating disappears, and I feel clearer in my mind. Why is lemon so magical? Lemons are rich in vitamin C, a powerful antioxidant that protects cells, especially the lining of the intestines and stomach. The natural sourness stimulates salivary glands and digestive enzymes, helping you digest food more easily throughout the day. Despite its sour taste, lemons are alkaline when entering the body, helping to balance pH, reduce inflammation, and support the natural detoxification process. Contains flavonoids, substances that help soothe irritated areas in the intestines, especially if you have problems like irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. Real-life example. A long-time follower of mine, Anne, shared that she often felt bloated in the morning, even though she had a very light dinner. When she started each day with warm water and fresh lemon juice to teaspoons, after only 4 days, she emailed me with the subject line, "It feels like someone untied a knot in my stomach." But don't forget a few small notes. Don't use too much lemon juice, just 1–2 tablespoons at a time is enough. If you're worried about tooth enamel, use a straw and rinse your mouth with plain water afterwards. Use fresh lemons. Avoid bottled lemon juice with preservatives. The lesson I want you to take away from this section: we don't need to look for miracles in faraway places. Sometimes, a small lemon, grown in the golden sunshine and wind, is the healing gift your body has been waiting for. And when you combine lemon with apple cider vinegar, warm water, and a conscious morning self-care, you've created a solid foundation for your digestive system. But there's one more ingredient, an anti-inflammatory warrior from the ground, used by humans for thousands of years to soothe the stomach, relieve pain, and keep the body warm. That's fresh ginger. If you've ever felt nauseous while traveling, you've probably been given a small piece of ginger to suck on. You probably didn't think much of it at the time. It was simply a folk remedy passed down by word of mouth. But later, when I started to learn more about the digestive system after turning 50, I realized ginger is not an ordinary spice. It is a peaceful gift from the earth. I remember the first time I tried adding a few slices of fresh ginger to a glass of warm water in the morning. To be honest, the slight spiciness initially made me a little hesitant. But after just 10 to 15 minutes, I felt a strange warmth and comfort in my stomach, as if a hand was gently rubbing an area that had been bothering me for weeks. So what does ginger really do for your digestive system and metabolism? Ginger contains gingerol and shogol, substances with anti-inflammatory and antispasmodic properties, which help soothe the intestines, reduce gas and bloating. It is also considered a natural antacid, helping to neutralize excess acid in the stomach. Ginger gently stimulates blood circulation, helping to increase metabolism without causing rapid heartbeat or stress like coffee. Especially useful for people who often have cold stomachs, indigestion, or sensitive bowel syndrome (IBS). Real-life example, an uncle and aunt who follows my channel, over 60, shared that every morning they mix 2 cups of warm water with a few slices of fresh ginger and a little honey. After 3 weeks, he told me, "I don't know if it's a coincidence, but for the first time in years, I don't need anti-bloating medicine anymore." And if you're wondering, what is the best way to use ginger? Use thinly sliced fresh ginger, or grate about 1/2 teaspoon. If you don't have fresh ginger, You can use dried ginger powder, but reduce the dose 1/4 teaspoon because it is more spicy. Avoid if you are taking blood thinners without consulting your doctor. A small lesson I learned from this experience: not all healing comes from the force. It's the small, silent things, like a slice of ginger in warm water, that make the most profound changes. Now, you have warm water, apple cider vinegar, fresh lemon, and ginger for harmonious elements that help wake up the digestive system, support metabolism, and fight inflammation. But to complete this mixture, we need one last thing, a chronic antioxidant, and is a warm sweetness that doesn't spike blood sugar. An ingredient that has been used since ancient Egypt, taken from the bark of a tree, that's cinnamon. When I was a kid, every winter, my mom would stew a pot of apples with cinnamon and a little honey. The whole kitchen would warm up, not just from the heat, but from the gentle, familiar scent of cinnamon. At the time, I just thought, oh, this smells like holidays and special days. But later, I understood cinnamon is more than just a flavor. It's a sweet medicine for both the gut and the soul. When you're trying to aid digestion, reduce cravings, and stabilize blood sugar, especially after the age of 50, cinnamon can be a great helper that you might have forgotten about in your spice rack. So what makes cinnamon so special? Cinnamon contains cinnamolide, the compound that helps stabilize blood sugar by increasing insulin sensitivity. That means your blood sugar doesn't spike after a meal, reduces fat storage, especially belly fat. In addition, cinnamon has a mild anti-inflammatory effect, helps soothe the lining of the intestines, and even helps balance bacteria in the gut microbiome. And best of all, cinnamon helps control sweet cravings naturally, because it creates a warm feeling without the sugar. Real-life example. I once worked with a group of women on the 10-day reset program, where they tried replacing the sugar in their morning coffee with a little cinnamon and vanilla. One woman shared, "I didn't think just a pinch of cinnamon would stop me from craving donuts mid-morning. But here's an important thing to know, not all cinnamon is created equal. Cassia cinnamon, the popular, cheap variety, contains high levels of coumarin, which can be harmful to the liver if consumed over a long period of time. Ceylon cinnamon, also known as true cinnamon, mild, aromatic, safe to use every day. Gives if you plan to use cinnamon as a regular part of your diet, prioritize Ceylon. How to use: you only need 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon powder every morning in warm water with apple cider vinegar, lemon and ginger. Or you can gently boil all the ingredients as a detox tea, aromatic, warm, and nourishing. And a little lesson from my own experience. A little sweetness, if it comes from nature, not only soothes the taste buds, but also soothes the body and mind. Now you know that all 5 ingredients, warm water, apple cider vinegar, lemon, ginger and cinnamon, are small in size, but when combined, they create a harmonious formula that provides comprehensive support for digestion, metabolism, and a sense of lightness in your own body. But there's something even more important. How you combine them and use them at the right time and in the right doses is the key to getting results. Here's something interesting I learned from my nutritionist last year. In nature, ingredients don't just add together. They combine and create something that they can't do alone. That's the difference between adding together and working together, or synergy. We've talked about warm water, apple cider vinegar, lemon, ginger and cinnamon. Each ingredient has its own benefits. But when they're combined in the right way, at the right time, something magical begins to happen. So how does this morning routine work in your body? Warm water opens the way, dilates blood vessels, making it easier for the body to absorb. Apple cider vinegar kickstarts metabolism, reduces sugar absorption and aids in fat burning. Lemon adds vitamin C, stimulates digestive enzymes and helps balance gut pH. Ginger soothes the stomach, reduces inflammation and increases circulation. Cinnamon keeps sugar levels stable, helping you feel fuller for longer and avoid cravings. Like a good piece of music, each ingredient is a note, but when they come together in the right way, they create a healing melody. Real-life example, an old-school friend of mine, Susan, 59, shared that after 10 days of trying this routine every morning, not only did she feel lighter in the stomach, but she also noticed something else. She was no longer sluggish in the mid-morning, no need for mid-morning snacks, and most importantly, she felt connected to her body again, after years of just putting up with it. When you consciously incorporate small things, you're not just changing your body, you're creating a habit that has the power to heal every day. And if you're wondering, how do I make this mixture properly? How much is enough? When is the best time to drink it? Don't worry, the next part will guide you step by step, simple and easy to apply every day. I was very proud when I guided a small group of friends to try the 10-day warm water detox morning challenge. But after 3 days, a friend texted me, "I've given up. Every time I drink it, my stomach hurts and I feel nauseous." I was shocked, because the recipe was clearly very simple, and for me, it really worked. Until I asked her how she mixed it, and found out something. She added 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, boiled water at 100 degrees, and drank it right after a high-protein breakfast. It's not that the recipe is wrong, it's that the method is wrong. So here are some common mistakes to avoid. 1. Using water that's too hot or too cold. Water that's too hot can cause irritation, stomach lining, especially if you drink it on an empty stomach. Water that is too cold will constrict blood vessels and slow digestion, as mentioned in the beginning. Ideal: warm water around 120–130 degrees Fahrenheit, warm like water for light tea. 2. Add too much apple cider vinegar or lemon. Vinegar and lemon are both highly acidic gives. If overdosed, it can cause stomach pain, tooth enamel erosion, especially for people with a history of reflux, stomach ulcers. Ideal: 1 tablespoon apple cider vinegar, 1 to 2 teaspoons lemon juice each time. 3. Drink too close to meals. Drinking the mixture right after a breakfast high in starch or protein can dilute digestive juices. Ideal: drink 15 to 30 minutes before breakfast on an empty stomach. 4. Not persisting long enough. Many people expect a miracle in 2 days, but this is a process to help the body self-regulate, not a quick weight loss pill. Ideal: maintain 10 days straight, then take a 2 to 3 day break and repeat if needed. 5. Not choosing the right ingredients. Using industrial apple cider vinegar without mother. Using cassia cinnamon instead of Ceylon or bottled lemons with preservatives. Ideal: use fresh, pure, organic ingredients if possible. A little lesson I always remind myself. No matter how good the ingredients are, if we don't use them properly, they won't help. They can even be counterproductive. Like a beautiful piece of music, if you play the wrong notes, the melody will lose its harmony. So how do you do it properly, step by step, easy to remember, easy to do, easy to maintain? Right now, I'm going to show you exactly how to make this morning warm water, so that each sip is a gentle step towards better health. I still remember the first day when I decided to challenge myself with 10 days of warm water in the morning. To be honest, I wasn't expecting anything too miraculous. I just thought, I'll give it a try, because I want to feel lighter. The first day, I felt a little strange. The second day, I started to notice how my stomach responded, no more annoying gurgling every morning. The third day, I felt a little lighter. And by the 5th day, I realized I no longer craved coffee as soon as I opened my eyes. I was awake in a gentle, stress-free way. So what happens when you maintain this formula for 10 consecutive days? Your body starts a new cycle, better digestion, faster metabolism. You feel less full, especially after dinner. Your blood sugar is more stable, which helps reduce snacking. Your mind changes too. You feel like you're taking care of yourself every morning, no more rushing, no more neglecting. I remember Eliza, a 63-year-old woman in Arizona, emailing me after 10 days of trying this recipe. She shared, "Not only did my stomach feel flatter, but I also felt confident wearing a dress I'd been folding for 2 years. But what I'm most grateful for is that every morning, I have a quiet moment, just me and a glass of warm water. That's what I've been missing in my busy life." How to do it right. Morning, before eating, 1 to 2 cups of warm water, not too hot. 1 tablespoon raw apple cider vinegar. 1 to 2 teaspoons fresh lemon juice. 2 to 3 slices of fresh ginger or 1/2 teaspoon grated ginger. 1/4 teaspoon Ceylon cinnamon. Stir well, sip slowly. Feel each sip as a delicate care you give yourself. Maintain for 10 consecutive days, take 3 days off, then can repeat 2 to 3 times month, or maintain as a long-term habit. When you commit to something small and do it consistently, It is that consistency that is the most profound healing. And now, when you know each ingredient, why it works, how to combine it correctly, as well as mistakes to avoid, you are ready to start your journey of self-care with gentle love every morning. But there's one last thing I want you to know. Soothing your belly isn't just about digestion, it's about strength. Because as we age, we lose not only flexibility, but also muscle strength and stability, which is just as important as a slim waist. So don't miss the next part. The next video will teach you how to eat to regain muscle strength after 50 without going to the gym.